Hello and welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming, and our guide for Samira in Path of Champions. If you enjoy the video, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. First, we have a brief overview of the champion and their playstyle, so you can know if this is a deck you want to invest your time and shards into. To start off, we have Aggressive. Samira is a early game champion that really tries to push large amounts of damage to end the game before the opponent can even fight back. Next up, we have Strategic Cost Reduction. Samira can choose when to trigger her cost reduction mechanic, allowing you to strategically play the right card for each situation. Up next, we have Scaling. Despite being an early game deck, Samira is surprisingly strong at consistently scaling up her board as you play. Much like the other champions this expansion, Samira also has a combo playstyle. You often want to play specific cards in certain orders to successfully pull off different combos and win the game. Next up, we have Built-in Rally. After leveling Samira, you're able to generate rallies, letting you quickly close out the game. And last up, we have Plunder. This is the main keyword that the deck is focused on, so if you enjoy the playstyle of hitting the enemy nexus to trigger special bonuses for your cards, then this is the deck for you. That about wraps up this brief overview. Let's head in game to dive deeper into Samira and her deck. In game now, you see we have Samira at level 22 and 3 stars. Samira herself is a 2-cost champion that's 2/2 with quick attack. Then when I'm summoned or strike, create a flare in hand if you don't have one. That flare you see right here, 1-cost burst, deal 1 to the enemy nexus, or give your ally challenger. Very nice that this has that a bit of versatility to it, and it's also great for triggering your plunder effects. Her level up, I've seen you play 6 or more cards, resets when you start a round with the attack token. So if you're able to generate the attack token through like a rally or something like that, that's not an issue. But if you start the round with that attack token, it is going to reset your level up condition. This makes the domination power a little bit less attractive as a choice, and that's the power that at round start you rally, that will reset your level up. But when she levels up, now when I'm summoned or strike, create a 0-cost flare in hand. So you see here, it no longer has the restriction of if you don't have one, and now it's going to cost 0, so nice little benefit there. She goes to a 3/3, and now when you play 6 or more cards, Rally. So this is that built-in Rally we were talking about. Her champion spell, All Out, 1-cost burst, give an ally 2 power this round. Plunder, give it 2/2 instead. Create that Samira in your deck. Pretty good combat trick. Not bad when you get a couple extra Samira in your hand, since they'll all be turned into this spell if you already have Samira on the board. Let's go take a look at her champion powers, or star powers. So your 3-star, the first time you damage the enemy nexus each round, the next card you play costs 3 or less. If you have the 1-star version of this, then it's the next card costs 1 or less to play. Now this can stack up through multiple rounds, seemingly infinitely. So if you want to go a couple rounds without playing any cards, but you're damaging the nexus with attacks, then you will be able to discount a card very heavily. Normally that's not going to be too applicable, but just know that this does carry over between rounds, as that can sometimes help you out. But very nice to cheat out cards early. Next we have Style on them, +1 starting mana. When you play your 3rd card each round, grant allies 1/1. So with Samira's level up, you need to play 6 cards between 2 rounds normally, because you see here, I've seen you play 6 or more cards, reset when you start the round with the attack token. So normally you'll have the attack token, you want to play 3 cards that round, then the following round you want to play 3 cards as well. That way you can level her up. This goes great with her star power because it's further incentivizing you to play at least 3 cards every round to grant all your allies 1/1. Now this is a permanent buff. One thing to note though, this can only go off once per round. It's not like Set with his star powers where if you trigger it multiple times, it'll go off multiple times. This will only go off once, so you normally just want to play 3 cards in a round and then save some cards for next round, unless you could actually end the game. Taking a look at her starting deck now. In general, it is a very, very strong deck. We'll actually start at the bottom first. So Ariel the Tracker. So 5 costs. This is normally 6 costs, but it gets a little bit cheaper with that ancient coin. Round end, if you played a spell on me this round, I strike the weakest enemy. So 2/5. Normally, you're going to want to cut this from your deck at the first opportunity. It's not that this is a bad card, but since it has that modifier of you have to actually play a spell on it, you're normally not going to be able to trigger that. Now, if you want, you can run the Grand General's Counterplan on Samira. That will generate her champion spell, that 2/2 combat trick every round. So if you want to utilize this card, you essentially have to run Grand General's Counterplan on Samira. Usually it's not really worth it running a relic just for one card, but it isn't a bad effect if you want to try to focus on it. Normally, in my opinion, though, not worth it, and you just want to cut the card. Looking at Elegant Edge, 1 cost, 1/2 with Barrier and Fearsome. Plunder, grant me 2 power. So pretty good card. With that Barrier, you can play this on your defensive turn so it can take a hit and survive, or if you attack, also you can be confident in knowing that Elegant Edge will probably survive the attack. Barrier, very nice there, especially for that 1 cost. Good versatility. Next we have Stylish Shot. This is a very, very good card. So it's a 1 cost focus. That means you can't play this in response to the enemy attack or enemy spells, but otherwise it counts as burst speed. Deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. The next time an ally strikes the Nexus this round, create a Stylish Shot in hand with Hextech Fabricator. So normally if you have the attack token, what you want to do, you want to play this first in your round, hit the enemy Nexus, then you're going to get that discount from your star powers, so you can choose what card you want to play. But if this is also the first card you play and you're damaging that Nexus, that means all of your other cards are going to benefit from their plunder effects. And the great thing is then you can attack the Nexus and get another one in your hand. Very good that you can just keep generating these, especially if you attack multiple times in a round. You can keep firing these off before every attack. Great card, really helps you level up Samira and then trigger her rally. This really makes your whole plunder mechanic really the best iteration that I've seen. Most other decks, it can be a little bit of a pain to get that plunder off, but with Samira, it's not a problem at all. Next up, we have Daring Demolisher. So 2 cost, 4/4 with that Savage Shield. You'll get this around, I think, at level 21. Play, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus, or activate an ally's plunder effect. Again, great versatility. So you can choose to play this first, have it hit the enemy Nexus. That will then discount your next card. Really good combo right there. But if you also want to activate someone's plunder effect, you can do that as well. Always great when cards have multiple effects that you might want to take advantage of. And in general, just a strong card. Samira at level 2 as well. Dashing Dandy, 3 cost, 1/4. Overwhelm with Philosopher's Stone, so when you play it, you draw 1, and then Plunder, grant me 3 power. So with that Plunder effect, it's going to go to a 4/4. In general, a pretty good card. You end up not playing it quite as much, because normally with that 3 cost, you're wanting to spend that mana to play or cheat out some of your other units that are a bit stronger, but in general, it is a good card. We have Death's Hand with Charging Sigil, so 3 cost fast, deal 2 to the enemy. Well, with the Charging Sigil, it's 4 to an enemy, and 3 to the enemy Nexus. Great removal, but also again a way to hit the enemy Nexus, triggering those plunder effects as well as your star power that cheats out your next card. We also have City Breaker, 4 cost, 3/4, round start, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. Now this can be decent, it also can be a little annoying though. You're dealing 1 to the enemy Nexus at round start, which means the first card you play every round is going to get that discount. Sometimes you don't want the first card you're playing in a round to be discounted and you want to save that for something else, so it can sometimes get in your way, but is still in general a pretty good card. Last for your cards, and really the best card you have, Ruined Reckoner. So 4 costs, 6/5. When I'm summoned, create a Midnight Raid in hand. Midnight Raid, an ally starts a free attack. So this costs nothing, but it is slow. You target your unit, one of your units with this, normally your strongest. They can start a free attack. Very, very strong. Nice to have. Normally you're going to be trying to cheat out Ruined Reckoner in your first 2 rounds. This is normally the card that you're wanting to utilize with your star powers to discount. So with your 3 stars, you can normally play this for just 1 cost, which is quite nice. In general, just a absolutely amazing card. Let's go take a look at relics now. So for your first common relics, you probably want to use either Chameleon's Necklace, game start, create 2 copies of me in your deck. This just increases your chance that you're going to draw the champion. Really important, especially for Samira, as she's a 2-cost champion, so you want her in your opening hand. Rageblade is also pretty good. Attack, grant me 1/1. You are going to be able to attack quite often with Samira, and this will help you scale up. For your first rare relic, I highly recommend using Dreadway Chase Gun. When I'm summoned, create 2 warning shots in hand. So 0 cost burst, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. This is great for being able to trigger your star power. What I will often do is play Samira in the first round for 2 mana. Then I can place a 0 cost warning shot and then play another card for free since it's been discounted by the star powers. Really good for triggering that star power, triggering your plunder, and also just helping Samira level up. All around great card. I would highly recommend using this for your first rare relic. Another rare relic that's absolutely great, especially if you're using Chase Gun, is the Crown Guard Inheritance. When I level up, Rally. With Samira, you're often trying to level her up on your second round, and you can often plan out exactly when you're going to level up. So normally with this combo, you're able to end the game. If you start with the attack token, you're able to end the game on your second round, which is absolutely incredible. Really strong combo right here. For some other good rare relics, a Grand General's Counterplan. Again, for Samira, that is going to make a all-out in your hand. This can be good for survivability of 1, using the combat trick to save Samira, or just letting Samira die and then being able to play the fleeting copy as Samira again. Gives you a little bit of a safety net. This is also good if you want to use Ariel the Tracker. Not bad if you want to go down that playstyle. I do think Chase Gun and Inheritance is better, but again, it's all down to personal preference. You probably don't actually want to use the Strike Relics, because normally what's going to be happening is when you play Samira, she's not going to be leveled up, and the Strike Relics, you see, oh, create a flare in hand, but it's if you don't have one. And since she's already making one when she's summoned, using a strike relic like Gatebreaker or Stalker's Blade, it's not actually going to have the effect of making more flares in hand. And then since she just has the 2 power, not really going to make that much of an impact. To boost up that power though, for another awesome relic, you might want to use the Bounty Hunter's Renown. I have 1/1 for every 200 golds you have. The best stat relic in the game. This can really help you in some of those longer matches like Aurelian Soul, give your Samira a lot of extra stats. I would probably only choose this if you already are level 30 as your third relic, as I think the other relics are still stronger, but great way to boost your stats for the champion. Troll King's Crown, allies have Overwhelm, also a great pick. This is actually probably what I will use for my third rare relic to just further help end the game as fast as possible. And last up for the relics I really want to shout out, we have Archangel Staff. Round start, refill your spell mana. There are a decent amount of cards or spells you are playing. Now they are pretty cheap, but the Archangel Staff can help you always have the mana to play those. This is also really good if you want to be going down the Grand General's Counterplan route, as these pair quite well together. That's it for the relics I wanted to highlight though. Obviously there's a bunch of other relics you can play and try out. These are just some that I find work the best for Samira. Let's now go take a look at what powers and support champions you might want to pair with Samira. Up first for powers, we have Dragon's Rage here on the left. When you summon an ally, grant it Fury, it is a dragon. This is really going to help your scaling, because every time one of your units kills an enemy, it then gets granted 1/1. So this is just simple way to keep helping all of your units, including Samira, get more and more powerful throughout the course of a match. Up next, we have Crush. Allies have Overwhelm. Great power, really helps you end games a little bit faster, as your units are able to use all of their damage to actually hit the Nexus and not just get blocked out. And then last here for this slide, we have Raiding Party. When you damage the enemy Nexus, grant the top ally in your deck 1/1. You're going to be damaging the enemy Nexus quite often, and this will really help you just play some very strong units to help close out the game. Next up here, we have Gearing Up. Game start, summon 2 armed gearheads. Quick draw, cards you draw cost 1 less this round. Vanguard Lookout, game start, summon 2 Vanguard Lookouts. Really, any of the powers that are just giving you units at the start of the game are very nice. You want to have a full board so that when you're playing your third card every round, there's more units on your board, they're going to get buffed up by that 1/1. Also, since you are trying to end the game as soon as possible, just having more units on the board at the start of the game to help you push the enemy down, very nice. Quick draw, cards you draw cost 1 less. Very nice to just try to help you cheat out a couple more cards. Again, trying to focus on ending that game as soon as you can. This also pairs really well with your star powers, because there's some cards that normally cost still 1 mana even if you discount it. So sometimes this can pair with your star power, letting you play some cards for free that normally you couldn't, which can be a very large boost in your power. Next up, we have Wild Inspiration. Your created cards cost 1 less. As Samira, you're creating a lot of cards. One, you have your flares that you're creating every time you either summon Samira or strike an enemy with her. Also, you have your Focusing Shot, where it damages the Nexus, but then if you strike the Nexus that round, it creates another Focusing Shot in hand. With Wild Inspiration, the first one you play will still cost that 1 mana, but then all subsequent shots will be free, so this can really help you out. Spell Slinger, all your spells cost 1 less, kind of just the better version of Wild Inspiration. And then we have Sorcery, round start, refill your spell mana. Again, you have a lot of spells that you often want to be using. Now, most of those spells are pretty cheap, so it's not like you normally don't have the mana to spend, but this just helps you always make sure you have that extra little bit of mana to spend on the spells if you need it. Next up, we have support champions. Now, Samira is a interesting one. Her deck already works so well together that in general, you just want support champions that are not going to get in your way, and quite often you're going to be trying to cut all of the units that you can. So while I will list a couple champions you might want to pick up, in general, you often are just going to be wanting to get support champions that have cheap cards or just cards that aren't going to get in your way. But for the most part, Samira is quite self-reliant, so support champions is not as big of a deal for her. First up though, we do have Plunder. It is one of the mechanics you're already using, and so if you get any support champions that also have Plunder cards, it'll be very easy for you to activate them. Also, we just have Aggressive. You are a very aggressive deck, so any other champions that can fit that aggressive playstyle will be quite nice. So first up, we have Gangplank. Gangplank has a lot of Plunder mechanics. He levels up by damaging the enemy nexus, which is something you're going to be doing, and in general, they synergize rather well together. Then for aggressive, we have Diana. Now, Diana, another 2-cost champion with quick attack and challenger. She can be quite nice to get on your board, also scale her up with all your other units, and she can help take out enemy targets. That's it for the support champions though, as well as this guide. I hope it helps you out. If it did, definitely like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day.